Hello, and welcome to Kinetweet. My name is Bitanhin Bakala. I'm the founder of Kinetweet. And I'm actually going to be going live both on YouTube and on Facebook. And so, but I'm right here with you, okay, both places. I wanted to talk to you today about consumption, the power of consumption, the things that we put in our bodies and the power that they have. I think we don't necessarily, and this is going to be interactive as much as possible. So I encourage you to write me a note, write me a comment, and we will talk about, I'll address the comments and I'll address the questions. Please be respectful, please be kind. And so, yes, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here and you're watching Facebook. I see you too. I hope you can hear me on Facebook because I don't have my mic on Facebook. So, Meroni, if you can tell me, that would be great. If you can hear me on Facebook, just let me know, give me a thumbs up. And so welcome. I'm very excited you're here. So let's talk about it. What does consuming mean? What are we talking about, right? So anything that we're putting in our bodies is impacting us. Everything has, oh yay, okay, great. Hi, Meroni. So anything that we have that is within our bodies, it can impact us. I'm talking about food. Obviously, we talk about food all the time. Everyone says you have to eat healthy, and that's from eating healthy. We have to eat healthy because of our bodies, the things we're going to gain weight, cholesterol, all of these things we talk about. But no one talks about the other things that can impact us, such as when we're consuming music, for example. Have you guys, like, I don't know, I used to be a dancer, right? I used to dance. I made money off of it. So I just consider myself a professional dancer in Ethiopian cultural dance. And I will tell you that the music, the words that we listen to, the music that we're listening to, it has a huge impact on our bodies. One, I can hear my own voice. So I hope it's not the same thing for you guys. I hope it's clear. And I will say that the impact that it has on us, I don't want to hear my own voice. The impact that it has on us, the music, once we listen to it, the words, they echo in our system. And what that does is, if we're feeling, so a lot of times we listen to music. Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Meron. Meron is the person on Facebook. Okay, so you two folks, you may not see her, but she's helping me out. So I appreciate you, sis. But the music that we're listening to, the words that we have, so sometimes when we're in really bad mood, we want to listen to things that mirror wherever we are, right? Like if we're people who've gone through breakups, they listen to music that is somber because they're in a somber mood. But what that does, have we ever thought about it? And what that does is it brings we start going lower and lower and lower in energy because the music has its own vibration and it matches the vibration frequency that we're in. And I'm talking about not just the music itself, like the songs and the beats, but the words. And it's the same thing when we're talking about the people we talk to on a daily basis, the people that we, not just family members, but friends that we're talking to, are they really supporting or are they really benefiting us, or are we just talking because we've known them for a very long time? I think this is very important for us to identify, especially when there's so much chaos, there's so much going on. And a lot of us, because of the environment we're in, because of the times, very tumultuous time, there is going to be mental health issues. We're going to be feeling depressed. We're going to feel anxious, and we might be feeling down. And we don't need someone that continues to support that thought process. We want people to be able to help us out of that. And how do we identify what that looks like, right? Like, I will tell you, if I'm feeling bad, or if I'm feeling heavy, and someone is going to come in and continue to press down on me, that person is not helping me. And what does that look like? If I'm suffering, if I'm in pain, if I'm hurting, what are you going to do as my friend, right? What are you going to do as my sister? What are you going to do as my brother? What is your role? It depends on your attention. But whatever that is, whatever energy you bring, because I'm so low, either you're going to impact me or I'm going to impact you. And so we just have to be really careful about the things that we're putting in our bodies. And I'm not talking about, like I mentioned, it's not just food. It can be things that we're listening to. So please comment, if you can, what that looks like to you. What does it mean when I say that, the things that we're listening to or the things that we're hearing? What does that look like to you? I'll tell you, for me, for example, when I listen to Ethiopian music, I'm very careful to to the words that, so I used to always, as a dancer, like I told you guys, I used to dance, right? So as a dancer, all I cared about was the beat. You just pay attention to the beat. But what are the words saying in the music, right? And if the words are saying, so I'm not a fan of divisiveness. And someone just quotes me on Facebook, guys, as I'm doing a Facebook Live. I don't know why people would do that. And I'm a married woman. Okay, I digress. But the people that, can you please, Facebook folks, send me a message or write on the live what that looks like to you, what that sounds like. Have you ever been impacted by something that someone has said when you're already in one energy and somebody else does it? Yes, Miss Rock. Yes, Miss Rock is like, yes, I have. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Hi. Yeah. So that also looks like, by the way, if you're in a really good place, and we're in a really good place, we're in this euphoric state, and somebody comes in and brings their, whether they might be angry about something, right? So if we're not careful, energy, because it transfers, the energy will then transfer to us, and we will be holding on to things. Now we're carrying their energy, and then before we know it, if we're not conscious of it, then we can transfer it to somebody else. So the way it looks is, I'm like singing Happy Go Lucky, and my friend comes in and she is pissed, and she's talking to me, and besides just her words, just her energy, now I'm picking it up. So now I'm pissed for her, and I'm so pissed for her, but I don't leave that energy right there where it is. Like at the end of that conversation, do we take deep breaths? I think we are not trained to identify these things that weigh down on us. We just talk about, how are you doing? Everything's fine. We're all good. Everything is fine. And I hear at Kinespace, that's the kind of things where we want to eradicate those type of cultural tendencies that don't support us. So if someone is asking you and you're not feeling well, you say, I'm a little heavy. Things are a little tough. But by the grace of God, we always say which is thank God. Yes, thank God, but we can also say, if we're feeling tough, if we're feeling in a bad place, we can also talk to someone. Obviously, you want to make sure that it's your support system that you're talking to, and it's the right person, and it's the right time for that person to listen. I mean, I wouldn't disclose my tough times, how I'm feeling at the middle of a party. Obviously, that's not the venue for it, right? But the energy that we're carrying, how do we transition from that? Like, for example, like the example that I was using earlier about someone is going to come in and they're upset. So now they're telling me, and now I'm upset and I'm holding on to that energy. And then I'm going to, now after our conversation is done, I'm still carrying that anger, right? I'm still carrying that anger. And then I'm going to go talk to my brother or my sister or one of my other girlfriends. And they might be, or my husband or my boyfriend, whatever that is, whomever your next person is. But because we're still carrying that energy, we transfer it to the next person. And how does that look? We're not obviously telling them all the same information, but a friend is going to say something that maybe you've always kind of bothered you all the time, but because you're in an angry state, now you're lashing out on the person. Can you imagine what that is? And the other person has no idea where this is coming from. That person has no idea, and they're just like, what just happened? And then what's going to happen is that person now, your friend that you pushed that energy towards, is now going to be pissed that you did that. And because in our culture, we don't necessarily speak our minds on the spot and we hold on to things, that person is not going to tell you. And once you transfer that energy, you think, oh, now I'm over it, or I've calmed down finally in your head. I've calmed down finally, but now that friend is now upset with you. So that energy that started 2 people ago, you've now transferred. You just played tag. Tag, you're it, tag, you're it. Now your friend is going to continue to do that. This is the problem with not being conscious and not being in the moment for us to understand the flow of energy. If we're not careful, Miron says, yes, that for sure, yeah. If we're not careful, we're going to be passing this energy. And what does that look like for 2020? There has been a lot of things going on. And whether you're, it doesn't matter how you identify yourself, we're going through a lot. Like as a world, as globally, we're going through a lot. Emotionally, we're going through a lot, which then impacts us physically for the most part. And so when we're going into that state, the best option, the best thing to do is go inward. Like, so I'm a Christian faith. You can see my cross here. So prayer, for anyone else, even they say meditation. And meditation, there's nothing, it just means breathing. Just stay calm and take deep breaths to collect ourselves, to recenter ourselves. This is something that we need to do because energy, like I mentioned, energy gets transferred. And when we're angry, the anger is what gets transferred. That's the energy that gets transferred to somebody else. And I'm so glad 2020 is almost over. Oh, Ms. Raki, yeah, me too. But what worries me is, are we going to carry some of the bad things we might have picked up in 2020 into 2021? Are we changing? Or have we learned anything? I'll tell you, for me, I've ended up becoming more introspective, which as an extrovert, that was not an easy thing for me to do. But I've learned to start taking deep breaths. I've learned to be very mindful of my energy and my state. Hi, Mokshe. I've learned to be aware of my current state and my energy. And I'm trying so hard to not speak when I'm not in a state of calmness. Because what that does is, because I want to be responsible for the energy that I'm passing on, the energy that I'm bringing to the table. Even when I come on these lives, like my energy, you're receiving that. Even though we're not physically together, you're receiving my energy. And if I'm not in a good state of mind, if I'm not in a good place, guess what? That energy is now going to be transferred to you, and you're going to be getting that heaviness if I'm feeling heavy, which is why we have to be so careful about the things that we share online, the things that we are passing to our family. If someone is saying things that are from a place of anger, we've got to be careful to not pass that along, because that's only feeding the side that is the anger side. It's not helping us at all in being in a state of calmness. Listen, wherever we are, that's what we pass through. Whatever is inside of us, that's what we're giving up to our families, to society at large, and we're all responsible for the energy that we bring. I can't be responsible for the energy Meron brings, Hirutiye brings, Zanaba brings. I can't be responsible for anybody else's energy except for my own. So even if I receive a message or I receive an energy from that person, then we have got to learn collectively to just take a deep breath, right? Take a deep breath and let that energy end there. If we continue to pass that energy, now I'm responsible, because even though that person gave it to me, we can't turn around and point the fingers, man, yeah, she had pissed me off, so now I'm in a pissed off mood. It doesn't work like that, right? Even though that's part of the truth, we're still responsible. We still have a choice whether we're passing that energy to the next person or not. I want to hear from you on some of the things that you've seen, or some of the things that you feel like contribute to this. And I'll share some of the things that I'm talking about. I've seen, so for me, I have unfollowed people on social media, for example, that I might have known them for a very long time, okay? But maybe they're not in a good state. And some people I have reached out to, I've spoken to them. My sister-in-laws are great at that too. Reached out and try to understand the why behind it, because I think everyone has a reason for where they are and why we do what we do. That's a conversation for another day. But we have a reason for why we do what we do. And if we understand each other's why, I think it helps us. Once I understand why you are angry, maybe it'll help me see your point of view. And so then I'll start processing the information a little differently. If you're just angry for no reason, then I'm just going to hold on to the energy. So I do want to share with you some things that we can do to either de-escalate a situation in the space of anger or a negative energy once we realize what it is. So first, I'm going to talk about de-escalation. So when someone gets upset and they're speaking from a place of anger, they're angry and they're yelling for whatever reason. And it can be in our, with Ethiopians, because I'm Ethiopian, right? With Ethiopians, usually the tough conversation is around politics. So when someone is speaking and they're in an emotional state and we get angry and we're speaking from a place of anger, our intention is the first thing that we have to adjust. Do I want to, hi, Messi. Do I want to, what is my intention? What do I want to do out of this situation? Is my intention to listen to this person, to try to understand them? Or is my intention to just respond? If we just respond, trust me, we're not doing it from a place of understanding. Usually that looks so different because when we're listening to understand, we, one, don't cut off people. Two, we're not thinking of anything. We're just listening to that person. That's called active listening. We're just listening. And as an active listening exercise, we ask clarifying questions. So based on what I understood based on what you just said, this is what I understood. And then would say, this is what I got from that. Am I right? That's the first thing we do. And when we do that, what happens to the person that's angry and talking is it helps them slow down, because now they're probably expecting you to respond, but you're like, the engine is coming so fast. And you're just like, so based on what I understand, this is what you said, this is what you said, this is what you said. Am I right? And then now we're forcing that person to think about what they just said and correct something. That is so beneficial for two reasons, right? One, it calms the person down. Two, we want to make sure that we're understanding what that person is saying before we respond, right? A lot of times I think the reason why things continue to escalate is because we don't understand each other's point of view. I'm thinking you're saying what you're saying, and those things usually come from a place, you're looking at it from your own way, your own prism. Whatever your experiences have been, whatever your pains have, whatever pain you have at that moment, that's the part that you're looking at it from. And that person is doing the same from theirs. And because of the misunderstanding, that continues, the misunderstanding continues, and we continue to walk on that path, which is why the clarifying question starts. So I'm challenging you to, next time you have a conversation with someone that seems to be angry for whatever reason, even if it's political, trust me when I tell you, I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. Is this what you're saying? And then they will confirm, right? Afterwards, okay, so based on what I understand, we use I statements. Even if we're telling facts, based on what I know, and this is the next thing. We have to use, the next thing is using I statements. And the reason why I statements so important is because when I'm using I statement, I'm not blaming you. I'm not pointing a finger at the person that's listening. I'm just sharing my thoughts. And I am the one who's saying that. I'm not saying you're doing this based on what I understand. I feel like this is what it is. And when we say I, you can say I feel like this or I feel like that. And that's a feeling. And if someone comes in and says, wait a minute, what do you mean by that? You're saying, no, majority of the time, the response is going to be, oh, this is your feeling. And then they can speak about their feeling as well. I think that's a lesson. This is what I was in corporate. I was in banking for a very long time. And one of the things as in my leadership role that was coached to me was using I statements when we're talking to people is such an important thing, right? Because the HR would be very proud of me right now. They can see that. But that is so beneficial to help us understand each other. So that's the first thing about de-escalating a situation, okay? If you have any questions or if you like any of the comments, please let me know on Facebook and then on YouTube too if you're watching. And I know because it's a little late, but it's really good for West Coast and Ethiopia. So I'm so glad you guys are here and watching. Thank you so much. And then the second thing is, I want to say, besides de-escalating a situation, is it also bridges a gap. The bridging the gap is because I'm standing where I am and you're standing where you are. Communication is supposed to be the thing that connects us. Unfortunately, there is also different types of communication style. And so if your communication style does not align with my communication style, that causes a lot of rifts, a lot of bumping heads. So how do we combat that? Going back to the I statements, going back to understanding. But besides all of that, and honestly speaking, we've got to just have the benefit of the doubt that that person is saying something from a good place. Like we got to give them the grace and the space to express themselves and just know that they're saying things from a good place. I mentioned the other part, the last part that I wanted to share with you. I mentioned it at the beginning of the conversation. There might be some people that are just continue to spew negativity. Even if they are in pain, we can only do the best that we can do. And after that, maybe we just need to distance ourselves just enough until we get our own strength back. We know how to walk in that space. And then, and only then, can we rejoin and try to have a conversation. This is such an important thing because right now, there's a lot of stuff happening back home and a lot of differences are being said, different points of view. And I absolutely understand why people feel the way they feel because they have their own experiences. And what's more, they're carrying their parents' experiences with them too, stories that they've shared. Their parents whom they love, if they've gone through some turmoil as a kid, the people that you worship and you loved are in pain now. Their pain is now your pain. Once we carry that with us, it makes it very difficult for me to see someone else that probably has no relation to that situation, but the way the story was told, which was from a place of pain, that's all I'm going to remember. And I'm going to see that person through my pain. So if that person aligns with, let's say if they're from a specific place in which the story is related to that, automatically that person is guilty for me. So that's why we have to have these conversations in order for us to bridge the gap between each other. We've got to be able to speak from a space of openness, of compassion and love. And so if you have any questions or any comments, please share, because I wanted to keep this nice and short and sweet, and I'm pretty much done. But I really hope that I'm so glad you first of all, you joined me. Second of all, and we'll be doing more of these on our YouTube channel, which I'll put on the comments on the page. And then also check out KeenetSpeech.com. We have been posting, we're doing more of these kind of video casts. Also, Bait Talk is also on Spotify and Google Podcasts as well. So many podcasts because we started a podcast. I'm so excited. And that's all about healing, how we get better as people, and it makes us question a lot of the narratives that we have learned, and how do we dissect it and unpack it. That's the goal of the podcast. And it's only like 10-15 minutes, so it's not too crazy. So I really encourage you to be part of that as well. And I thank you so very much. Hi, Bisrat. If you have any questions, please write it here so that I can answer. Or if you want to come to a live, or you want to have a conversation topic, put it on there. You can also send me an email to info@keenatweek.com if you have any questions, or send us a message right through the Facebook page. And if you're on YouTube, info@keenatweek.com is how you can reach us. All right, so thank you so very much for being with me today. And if you have no questions on either one, I'm going to be signing off. And I thank you again, and I look forward to our conversations. And please share with me, by the way. Okay, I always love how you are considerate of people's time and try to keep it short and on time. Yes, Meroniye, thank you so much for recognizing that. It is very important to me. But when I have conversations, I do talk to, the conversations get to be long, but these monologues that I'm talking to you guys is short and sweet, because I want to make sure you keep coming back. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me. And by the grace of God, we'll be doing more of these. So hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much, Mikasa. Bye. And if you're on YouTube, that was my Facebook that I just finished, and now you can hear it. But I want to just say thank you so much for joining me. And if you have any questions, like I said, info@keenatweek.com is the best way to reach me. And I thank you so very much for joining me today, and I will see you